Hello everyone, I'm Harshvardhan. Welcome to the Crash Talks. And up here with me is Niket Jain. So could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, Harsh. Thank you for having me here. Uh, my name is Niket Jain. I'm an Android engineer at Mutual Mobile. I hold 3 years of experience in building mobile application um, with Android and Flutter. And currently, I'm exploring more about Kotlin multi-platform and a little bit about Ketor as well. And in the free time you can find me playing football or snooker.
Okay, that's great to know. Okay, we knew about your journey right now, but what was your journey before that get you into industry, into your college? Like what happened up there? How did you build your learning and like what happened next?
Okay, so actually I started very late. The whole programming thing I started very late. uh, I gave it a shot of trying to learn C++ at our initial college years, like first year and second year. And to be honest, I was not getting up the interest, or I was not able to relate or understand things because I was skipping lots of classes and not keeping up with the pace. So it was little uh, not so interested at that time. So uh, I started finally coding or programming very seriously at my fourth year when the corona hit. So it's what about March 2020. So I started with learning Java. I started with learning Android. But the thing was, before Android, I was exposed to web thing and I've done little bit of React as well. But once the CSS things came up, and I thought I cannot do it anymore. Like I just gave up on the CSS thing, and I thought let's start with Android again. So I started with Android again. I have took couple of Udemy course, lots of YouTube course, and going through blogs and um, lots of opinions and views from people over the Twitter and LinkedIn. So from there, I started learning. I have met lots of people, took their advice, and from then on, I started building Android application.
Okay, so that is really hard to believe that you covered the whole Android thing to get a job into the industry. Like, what was the learning curve for you at that time? Because that is quite interesting to know.
Yes, yes. Um, in this case, to be honest, I was very lucky. I think the people around me helped me a lot to grow. I remember I got a intern role at a local startup in my state only. That was Raipur, and very generous people helped me a lot to get started with production based Android app, and that pushed or that give me lots of confidence that I can do it. I have still lots of things to learn, and from gradually from there doing a internship at a very small startup, I understood the game that this or these things are being expected in the industry. So I kept on working on it, and then landed a internship again at Mutual Mobile via um, off campus. They approached me over LinkedIn and called me for the role, and I gave the interview to get the internship. And from that time being, I'm in Mutual Mobile only. Currently, I'm as a Android engineer.
Okay, that's pretty great to know. This means that you gone into that and gain insights and build up yourself according to the requirements that the companies have. And I really want to know that before those things, that inside your learning curve. Like, what kind of priority did you give to the Android? And as a college student, which is a lot hectic thing to handle, data structure and algorithms, how you handle these two things?
Um, to be very straightforward, I have not invested much of my time on learning data structures and algorithms. Like, it's important, though I'm not discouraging that, but I've invested less time. I have invested my much of time exploring other frameworks, development things like Android, React, Flutter, and other stuff. But fortunately, as I told, I was very lucky. In the corona time, my college was like in the pause mode, so I have got lots of plenty of time for like exploring different stuff. So I explored the basics of DSA to clear the interviews, and I primarily focus on development only, like GitHub profile building or building projects or going through source code. So I spend much of my time over there.
Okay. So, did you started with XML or like you jump started with Jetpack Compose?
uh, the problem with Android developer coming from 2020 to 2024, they have seen lots of changes, like XML changed to uh, our compose, then threads changed to coroutines, then Java to Kotlin. So I was started Android development with Java only, with XML only, and I'm I'm feel happy about that. I have seen the working of XML things as well. Now seeing working of Compose. So to answer your question, I started with XML only.
So, what are the mistakes that you made while learning that you want to point out? Like, okay, if I restart again, I won't gonna make these mistakes again.
Now, if I write a book about myself, that will be filled with lots of mistakes. Okay, I don't think I may barely made any good decisions. It's full of mistakes and things that I can improve. So first and vital thing that a student or a new learner can learn from this view of mine, that don't only just watch videos, um, practice things and try to understand the concept. Like, you might have worked with recycler view, right? And when I was writing it for the first time, there were plenties of ways of writing recycler view. Like everyone was writing based on their use case. So I was getting very confused. I was just making it, writing it, copying it, and hoping that it should work. But rather, I should have invested more time on understanding it and then writing it from scratch. So first mistake was key, don't just watch videos. If you're watching, make sure that you understand, close that video, open docs, open code, then try to understand, then write your own code. In that way you're gonna be learning into the 2x or 3x approach. If you're just copying through video tutorials or just blindly copy pasting code, that will not gonna take you anywhere. The second mistake was, I never practice DSA questions a lot. I I think one should practice DSA questions, or at least explore them in your spare time, just to keep your brain in the moment, and like exercising your brains with some uh, questions. So that, why I'm saying so, like if you have to build a UI library, or if you have to build a library or very complex code with lots of data, having those practice will help you eventually, like thinking in more perspective. So that was another mistake. And third mistake was like I kept myself very doubted that I cannot do that. um, One has to understand that things takes time. Don't keep uh, don't keep um, arbitrary, very false expectation from yourself. Keep it real, keep it small. uh, don't expect that people are expecting lots of things from you, like in this beginner stage. So uh, keep learning, have a positive mindset, so you will gonna one will gonna do a very good in their career. So those three were my mistakes.
What was your experience with Jetpack Compose when you started? Like, did you felt any performance issues at that time, or like you thought like? As for me, I when I used the lazy column because of the recomposition stuff, which I was not able to understand properly, I felt that it is slower than recycler view. But there were things which I didn't used to know about. And as for you, what was that?
Okay, so unfortunately, till now I haven't worked in an app uh, in Compose which have gone into the production. I have worked with XML or Flutter applications only till now. But coming as to the hobby projects that I build for myself for learning, or the projects that I see, open source projects that are recommended for learning. Uh, in that, only the till now, like I haven't spent much time on Compose performance. What I understand, one has to understand how composable works, how recompositions happen, what are the stages, um, and based upon your use case, you have to minimize the unnecessary recomposition. In that way, you can make your composable code uh, much more performant. And the another thing with the performance is that um, one person don't just try to write code to make it performant. The first thing is to make it work, then analyze it, understand it, how things are breaking up or how we can improve. Then one person investigate and do more of the performance improvement. So till now, what I know is to keep the unnecessary recomposition into the back of your mind and write effective code. uh, and at the back, Google is working hard to launch good Jetpack Compose versions, which do lots of stuff for you under the hood. So um, that's pretty much it. If I can share about performance in Jetpack Compose.
Okay, that was also very informative. So, as a good developer, there comes a part when you have to deal with the design of the app rather than the logic of the app. There comes some parts when you have to deal with one of the coolest but one of the trickiest thing to handle, the animations. So, how was your encounter with that?
Yes. So the good part with the Compose is not only it fastest, like give pace, velocity to your project development. It's also very easy to write custom layouts or add animations to your project. Like it's comparatively very easy with just if you just follow their documentation, you will understand all the high level APIs and low level APIs, and you can build almost anything that you can think of. And with this power, if any challenging design comes, um, it doesn't make our day hard. Like with Compose, everything is covered. One can simply write the design or change the design into code very easily. So that's one of the power of Compose, I will say.
That's really great to know. So, when the time you started it and when you deep dived into it, when you were into the corporate, so like there might be some techniques which might be used, like you thought, like, okay, this wasn't used before, which I got to know. So, any good insights which you captured into that you want to share, like, okay, I got to know about these things, like these principles being used up there.
Huh. I will say one thing: write lots of test cases. Uh, not only it help us to build quality apps, it also add documentations for other upcoming developers. So in my company we try to follow that we get good test coverage, uh, good write good clean code. Like when I did my first internship and when I come to Mutual Mobile, the 6 month period was very crucial for me in learning phase. So in those 6 months, I learned a lot. Like I jumped from Java to Kotlin. I learned about coroutines. I learned about clean architecture. That took me like lots of time. I learned about dependency injections using Dagger Android and Dagger Hill. So uh, in those year, what I can say, uh, try to write test cases, try to write clean code. Things are, or basically I will say, try to keep things as simple as possible, don't complicate it. Like try to write short concise code, readable code. Like if I go on listing things that I've learned, it will might be a very long list, but if I give gist of it, try to write simple concise testable documented code, and take your peer reviews as a learning opportunity. If someone is leaving a comment, take it as a learning opportunity, and try to give as simple as possible code for others to review, so that the things get merged quickly and we can see the progress. So there are lots of things like I learned lots of Kotlin things. uh, I learned about clean architecture as mentioned. There are lots of things. But again, after a while, I shifted to Flutter, and then the context changes. So
Uh, when we talk about mobile development mainly, there comes a part when you have to choose between native and cross-platform as per your use cases. So, how was your decision for that thing? Like when you have to encounter, like, okay, it might be at that time when XML was there for Android, then thing was totally different for cross-platform where you can have a declarative design, and up here in the Android, they were still having XML. So, what was your encounter with that?
see, this is a long going debate over the tech communities with native cross platform and stuff. But it all boils down to many factors, like what is the use case of a product, uh, or what talent a company or a team have in order to choose a particular uh, framework or language or something. So uh, there are many apps built in Flutter running fine, there are many apps built in native running fine, and there are many apps running built in React Native and running fine. So there is nothing like which is better, but like it's it's lots of factor, businesses, team talent, what's the product. Like it is very heavy intensive computation, then go with the native. If it is about UI UX, go with the Flutter. Like just I'm giving an example, so it depends on many things. But if you ask my perspective, I will say native is best. If a team have a uh, talent which contains Android, iOS, respective engineers, then one should invest on more on native. But uh, generally, Flutter getting more popularity among startups because again, because based on their business model and their team size. So there is no correct answer as per my my view. So if someone has to build a very high quality app, go with the native, I will say.
When you started with all these things and when you ended up here where you have everything, what kind of role hackathons played in your life?
Ah, it's played a very vital role for me. I'm an Android developer just because of hackathon, I will say. um, I remember I joined like I participated in a hackathon where I was totally blank. Like I'm just filled with energy. I have an idea, but I'm totally blank from where to start. Okay, so we get 24 hours to build a product. My goal was here to sit and build just the UI using the Android of my app. So there was a the other three members were designing the app. I was building it, and I remember I sat around like uh, 14 to 15 hours straight just learning Android. Like uh, I was not very fully prepared. I was not very uh, uh, having experience of building Android. I just got there. I have newly bought my laptop. I just got there. I installed things. I was hitting trial lots of stuff. But my main motto was to just build the UI with the fake data. And man, that pushed me a lot. That thrust that hackathon have bring was like very very important phase of this my life in development perspective. So in short, basically hackathon played a very very vital role if one takes it very seriously. Like the 24 hours is enough, I will say, to learn any new thing and build a new thing.
From being a participant into hackathons, where I have been into a few hackathons where you have been as a mentor. So, what experience are you having in that thing? Like, okay, I was building up there, and now I'm mentoring the students, and what kind of problems students are having, which you might have altered. Like, okay, these things are going on, and like you got it.
Yes, yes. um Unfortunately, there are not many Android projects that I have seen in hackathon so far that I have mentored um in my last 2 years or so. But whenever I see an Android project, I make sure that particular participant facing no problems at all. Even if I have to sit and explain it to them from the very beginning, I do so because uh, it's a fact that Android is little hard to start with, uh, especially if someone is doing with XML. So I make sure that they don't quit, because there because I have quit Android a lot of time just because I was not able to understand things. But I kept on doing it, and my whole motive is to that people don't quit if they have started with Android. They keep the composure, they keep the interest with them and keep pushing. So I always try to help them out as much as or as best as I can. So
So till now, we have talked a lot about Android, we talked a lot about Jetpack Compose, but still we haven't talked about Kotlin. So when you went into Kotlin from Java, like what things that you felt like, okay, this is perfect, or like these things are bad, and what was the shift towards thread to Kotlin core routines? So what was that?
um as I mentioned, I'm coming from that era of Android development that has seen lots of vast changes, from Java to Kotlin and threads to coroutines and XML to Compose. All the three things has been shifted. So um, when coming from, like, if one have to understand the beauty of Kotlin, one has to understand Java first, right? That if they have worked with Java a lot and seen the issue that Java creates. So at my time, I was building very simple, very straightforward applications using Java and XML. So, as you mentioned about coroutines, like one will appreciate coroutines if they have write lots of threads and handle lots of complexity using threads. So in that way, one will gonna appreciate coroutines. If one have faced lots of issues with null pointer exceptions, uh, nullability checks, then only one will admire the Kotlin and its awesome features like extension functions and lambdas and lots of features. So primary when I was shifting from Java to Kotlin, I was enjoying writing Kotlin. Okay, it was concise, um, though it was some synthetic like syntax sugar that Kotlin adds, which make it very enjoyable to write Kotlin code. So I'm not sure at that time I was fully aware of what I'm doing, but I was enjoying writing Kotlin, learning more. There was it took me some time to jump from here to there because I was at very beginner stage of Java and I was like just migrating to Kotlin. So it was fun, I will say.
So, as Kotlin has KMP now, so have you tried it and like what's your experience with it and what's your vision behind KMP? Because it's the most heated topic in the world of Kotlin right now and in the whole world right now.
Yes. I'm very much excited with Kotlin multi-platform and uh, writing shareable code for your application. Uh, though I haven't explored it much, I have just explored through some repositories to understand it, gone through some tutorials and blogs how it works. uh, I'm planning to write a KMP app. The great thing is I'm also planning, or basically I've done my work with Ktor backend for my KMP application. So it's in the pipeline. I'm gonna invest more on that, but I'm very excited with KMP, man. Like it's the with the support of Android Google team with their lots of libraries like Room, view models, and navigations and other stuff. I'm like now KMP is much more mature for people to invest time on it and build some products on it. So I'm gonna publishing a project or open sourcing a project soon, but still I'm exploring it and I'm very happy to see the growth of KMP.
As KMP is hated a lot, there is still an underrated thing in the world of Kotlin, which is Ktor. And I also want to talk about that with you. So, okay, what was your experience with Ktor? As you also told, like you are going to publish a project with it. So, what ease you felt in Ktor than other backend frameworks?
uh so Ketor is my first backend project only. Okay, so I cannot say or I cannot compare. Like I invest very like little time on that over the weekends to build it out, but the documentation is great. Things are very straightforward. Okay, just write whatever you want. Okay, connect with your database, get your data, send it to the request address. So things are very straightforward. You might need some reference from here and there, but it's quite a easy thing to build a small medium scale applications with Ketor. Like what I've understood till now, uh, i have s- I have read that many people are using Ketor for their production level things in a large medium scale. So till now my experience is very good, and I will highly encourage every Kotlin developer to try Ketor. The reason being, you gonna find lots of features of Kotlin uh, that gonna help you write a readable, more scalable uh, backend project.
So as we talked about Ktor and about KMP, so as Kotlin is looking forward towards multiple platforms in development, as uh, within few days back, they also published about data science tools and multiple things as they are hopping into multiple platforms. So, what are your vision about Kotlin in upcoming years? Like, how do you see its growth within these multiple platforms? As we can see, it's strengthening its roots towards backend development too. Because as a Kotlin developer, I have that power. Okay, that I can write a backend server with this language, and I don't have to go somewhere else. Like, it creates bust that myth that okay, you can do only one thing with a single language, so it was that myth. So, what are your thoughts about this?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, let's count things that we can do with Kotlin. Mobile application, we are doing it, whether it is Android, okay, or iOS. Now it has support for web as well and desktop as well. So it covers all basically all the front end work that we have. Okay. Now comes to backend. As we already discussed, Ketor is there. Okay. People are using Kotlin for competitive programming as well. Okay. So we have some users or some top level programmers over there as well. As you mentioned, I am not aware, but I've read it. Kotlin is used widely for data science as well. Okay, so it's covering almost everything that at least I am aware of. Okay, so it's it just represent that JetBrain is so serious with their Kotlin project. Like, if you see, um, JetBrain, like KMP is JetBrain project, right? And Google is supporting it. It's not of Google. JetBrain have this idea of KMP, and when you see products of JetBrain, you are sure that they are building something that will gonna last. That is whether it is IntelliJ ID, Android, though Android Studio is built upon IntelliJ ID, whether it is Kotlin, whether it is KMP. So I see uh, a long journey of Kotlin, with the vision of JetBrain. So, if one is investing in Kotlin, they will be very happy to see that they can use Kotlin for almost all the things that they wanted. Even I was seeing a JetBrain uh, Twitch stream where two developers were building 2D games with Kotlin. They have specific library for that as well. They have proper game engine for that as well. So the future is very bright with Kotlin. And as per the stats I was seeing, people absolutely love building things in Kotlin. Like, I worked with Dart, and man, when I shift from Dart to Kotlin, or vice versa, it's always a very drastic change for me. I I write semicolons in my Kotlin code, and I don't put semicolons in my Dart code. So uh, I can then admire the beauty of Kotlin and the powerful features of Kotlin. So the future is very, very bright and very good with Kotlin.
So, let's come to the
It's
other part
hmm
of the podcast, is cheesy choosing. I don't know why I have named this, but you have to choose from two segments and share your reasons why. So, the first one is
okay.
JetBrains or Google.
JetBrains.
Why? I
I
don't. I should not ask why. I'm really sorry. I should not ask why. But why?
see, I don't stand a place that I can compare myself to either of them, JetBrains or Google. But I will prefer JetBrains. Google generally kills their product, known for that. But I have seen, like, basically, I've seen the products, or we daily use the products of JetBrains with the KMP and Kotlin things coming up. I will go with JetBrains.
Dagger or coin?
Hmm. Uh, the thing I will go with coin, as it generally used with uh, KMP projects as well. It's simple. It's more concise, more Kotlin flavor, Kotlin DSL things over there. So coin. Though hilt is
Okay.
very good if someone have worked with Dagger 2. They know the pain, and Hilt have resolved lots of things for us. But Coin is latest. I will prefer Coin.
Okay. Uh, I should not ask this one too, but compose or XML.
Definitely Compose. Very uh, easy to use. Uh, Gives velocity to your development, and all the things has been happening in the same file, right? You don't have to map or data bind your stuff from the XML, and no unnecessary complications. Simple one file. Divide your components into small stuff and just use it. So Compose.
Okay. Glide or coil.
Glide.
Do you still miss glide?
Coil is again latest thing with lots of feature of handling different use cases, like error handling or placeholder stuff. I guess it's with the Picasso as well, but generally we now use Coil and more Kotlin specific, so Coil.
Okay. So if you have to choose uh, from a project between KMP, Flutter, and React Native, which one would you build your project on from these two?
I will never ever use React Native, and uh, with KMP and Flutter stuff, I will go with KMP. Like
Okay.
if I have a startup
So
and I wanted to build a product, I will go with KMP.
Ktor or Spring in Kotlin.
Okay, so now Spring is a very vast thing. I have not explored it a lot. Uh, People say that it comes with lots of features, security wise, and lots of other things. Though I haven't explored much upon that. For time being, I will say Ketor, like just to pass my use case that I have. If I have to build a small backend project, I will go with Ketor. So Ketor.
Okay. So as being a Java or Kotlin developer, you might have faced some issues with garbage collection. So
Haha.
that's a pretty old and famous question. Like, which one would you choose? Like the manual one, the manual memory allocation and deallocation, or the automatic one as a Java garbage collector. If you have to choose which one, like there are multiple low-level languages with that, and the high-level languages like Java with garbage collector, which does the memory allocation and deallocation automatically. So, which one would you
Haha.
choose for your project? Normally, other than being biased
No, no.
about Android.
See, the thing, the thing that is the developer job or is the developer work, right? If something is doing for you, one will definitely choose that. Okay, if so, if language is automatically clearing my uh, 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 unused values and collecting it as a garbage, I will prefer that. So as straightforward as that.
Okay. So, as we have completed this segment, so I want to know that any tips for newcomers for getting into industry?
Yes. So this question can get more specific. For timing, I will choose answer for someone who is just a beginner. Okay. Because this question can be anyone who has 1 year of experience, 2 years of experience. So, for someone who's just starting, I will say keep your basics very sharp. Keep a very good foundation so that you at least understand what you are doing. Okay. Build, don't worry, build simple projects, but keep it as clean and as good as possible in the way of scalability, and trying to cover most of the learnings that you have uh, done so far. For example, if you use Dagger Hill and uh, something re- uh, something relies if the object or if the features die, then these things get clear out automatically, or have a caching layer in between, or a project is using the offline based first approach, projects containing implementation of machine learning use case. um, and So there are lots of factors, but try to keep things simple, build simple projects, but just don't copy paste them. Try to write it to your own, keep it well documented, keep your projects up to date in your GitHub profile, share with the communities, take feedbacks, okay, update your readme, and keep maintaining your projects, okay. Acha, one more thing. What people generally do mistake is that they build like 5 to 6 projects a year, okay, in which all of them are at the middle stage or haven't been completed yet, the main aim that was meant to be done. So if you're building, let one should build only 2 projects in a year, which completes the motto of the reason why it's been built at the first place. So let's assume you're making a document scanner app. So complete it until it has been deployed either to the Play Store or uh, other app stores like Android or other place. It can be at the GitHub as well, where it's completed doing its job, then start with another project. So that's one thing. Another thing that I will say, that one should invest little time on problem solving as well, because um, with the rise of chat gpt, it's little easier for peoples to build thing, okay. So just to stand out, keep your problem solving skills uh, to some extent as well. So in order, you can use that knowledge to build more awesome stuff. Like it can be a library, it can be uh, uh, a code snippets that is widely used for some common use case like network check, or uh, some other use case like a list with the various data that has to be shown. So you got the point that keep your project concise, that is working. Work on like 1 or 2 projects only throughout the year, and keep your problem solving skills into the consideration as well, and try to read as much as code as possible of other professional developers, to in order to be remain in touch with what's new in the programming world. So with that being covered, one can land a very good opportunity in like 6 to 8 months.
Okay, so what are your plans and your thoughts about communities for Android developers? And like, are you planning something for contributing into the Android community or anything else which you want to share?
Yes. So I've been into communities where I have been as a speaker, as a participant, or as a contributor. Um, I have one project coming up that I'm gonna share very soon. I even have my YouTube channel where I'm gonna be publishing that. And regarding communities, see, there are lots of good communities that I'm being part of, which help people with their queries. Uh, those are being set the local, but there are also officials one have for Kotlin, one have for Android, and more, okay. So there is plenty of support from Android community throughout this year, throughout the year that Android is been in the market. So uh, but in my region, in my state, I see that there is a lack of uh, community just dedicated to mobile developers. So I'm planning something out for that, which I'm gonna reveal by the end of this year. So but there is something coming up. I don't want to promise it now, because if it that didn't happen, for some reason. So that will be little discouraging for others. So I'm planning something out for just dedicated specific mobile developers having a common interest of mobile development and Kotlin and Flutter in general. So that's the goal for this year in community perspective.
I hope that you get to empower your community and make it a little useful and grab some cool contributions from your members too. So there are a less, very less number of Android developers out there, and that's the thing. There is a less competition in this too because of this. But why? We should think about that too, because it's really hard and really integrating to do. But yeah, that's it's literally something when I do programming in Kotlin or in Java, I'll feel like okay, I'm doing something which like I feel like okay, everything is working in some way which I need to understand. If I can't understand, I'm lacking in somewhere. But in other platforms, I do literally get confused because they are not that kind of organized as Java or Kotlin. So, with that being said, we can wrap up this podcast. Thank you for having a podcast with us. Like, I really enjoyed all the answers, and like it was really informative, even for the beginners, and even for those who have started into the industry or anything. Like, we got to know more about Android and more about Jetpack Compose and more about you too. So, hope you liked it.
Definitely, definitely, Harsh. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me and giving me a platform that where I can share my views.